everyone. I am Dr. Viji, Associate Professor of Economics, A.D.M.COLLEGE, Nagapattinam. Today I am going to take welfare economics. First, we have to see the definition of welfare economics. Welfare economics, a normative study focused on what ought to be regarding economic policy and resources allocation. Economic welfare, defined by PIGO as the part of social welfare measured by the measuring rod of money. Key distinction: general welfare includes all satisfactions, economic and non-economic aspects, while economic welfare is linked specified to goods and services. Criteria for social welfare. Pareto criterion. Welfare increases if at least one person is made better off without making anyone else worse off. Social welfare function aggregates individual utilities to judge the overall well-being of a society. Choice expansion. Welfare is seen to increase when an individual's range of available choices expands. It is defined by Dr. Miss Han. The debate Robbins argued for ethical neutrality, positive economics, but modern welfare economics, Ferguson insists ethics and economics are inseparable. Policy and ethics. Any policy recommendation involves value judgments because it requires comparing the welfare of different individuals. Goal: to establish scientific standards and principles on which economists can judge and formulate social policies. The fundamentation of economic welfare. A.C. PIGO's contribution, regards as the father of welfare economics, follows his seminal work, The Economics of Welfare. Defined by: welfare resides is an individual state of mind or conscious satisfaction or utilities. Social welfare is the summation of all individual welfares in a society. PIGO distinguishes between general welfare and economic welfare. Economic welfare is defined as the part of social welfare that can be brought directly or indirectly into relation with the measuring rod of money. Satisfaction derived from the use of exchangeable goods and services. Pigovian condition: maximum social welfare. It equates economic welfare with national income and identifies two primary conditions for its maximization. Welfare increases when national income increases, provides the taste of the income distribution remain constant. The distribution condition: welfare increases when income is transferred from the rich to the poor. This is based on the law of diminishing marginal utility of income. An extra dollar provides more utility to a poor person than a rich person. The dual criterion: an important in social welfare occurs if national income increases without worsening distribution. Distribution improves without reducing national income. Assumption of this welfare economics. Satisfaction is comparable both interpersonally and interpersonally. Criticism: the nation of maximum is not clear. PIGO measured welfare cordially, and three more criticisms are included in this. National income is not an accurate measure of welfare. According to Professor Robbins, and the PIGO also criticized the theory. PIGO does not clearly give the relationship of welfare. PIGO's ideal output. The concept of ideal output, this related the optimum welfare of the economic system, uses the size of the national defense as an indicator of welfare. He defines the ideal output as that output act which no relocation of the economic resources among various users would make the society better than before. There is perfect competition on the demand side of the market for frictions. All goods are uniquely distributed in society. It is the maximum, wherever the maximum welfare is, goes to the people. Here we have to take the budget line or price line. At the same time, TC is called the total output curve, and good X in the X axis and good Y in the Y axis. Here we have to X1 in the level of good X, Y1 in the level of Y good Y. Here we have to draw indifference curve I1, I2. Here we have to take the third indifference curve. It is fall on the budget line and possibility of the welfare distributed by the government for the benefit of the people. A state where no one can be made better off without making someone else worse off. It cannot judge policies that creates both winners and losses, which is most real world policies. The figure shows a point on the utility possibility frontier. It has some criticism. There can be infinite number of parity and optimization. The operation criterion is not free from value judgment. Pareto evaluate only unambiguous changes in welfare. Next, we move on to Calder-Hicks compensation. A change is good if the winners could compensate the losses and still be better off. Compensation is hypothetical, it doesn't actually have to be paid. Movement to a higher utility curve even if one person's utility initially drops. Assumptions. Each individual satisfaction, it is one of the main principles of this theory. Absence of external efforts in production and consumption. Taste of each individuals are constant. It has some criticism. It is criticized by some other economists. This theory ignored income distribution and measures only potential welfare, no common standard of value, and not explained, not free from interpersonal comparison. It is only based on long run wealth for adjustment, doesn't involve actual compensation, not universal validity. Spitowski paradox. This is one more economist introduced the welfare economics. The flow Calder-Hicks can be consistent. It might say moving from A to B is good, but also moving from B back to A is good. Solution: that double criterion, the change must pass the Calder-Hicks test and the reversal must be impossible. Here we have to see the diagrammatical explanation. Two intersecting utility possibility curves we have to take. A1, B, B1. The functions W is equal to function of U1, U2, U3 up to UN. Concept uses value judgments to rank different distribution of wealth. The single best point where the social indifference curve touches the utility frontier. The social indifference curve W1, W2 tangent to the frontier. The distribution of welfare among the member of the society consequently affect influence individual welfare. Value judgment are freely permissible. It's also some criticism. Democratic, it is possible only in democratic countries. Conception of welfare functions, it is difficult to orbit to imaginary. The concept of maximum contract results not help in solving problems. Next, we pass on to one more important concept. It is introduced by Professor Arrow. The problem: can the Arrow provide you cannot create a perfect social ranking system that is always fair and logical. Non-dictatorship transited to Pareto efficiency, unrestricted domain and independence of irrelevant alternatives. Here we have to conclude this democratic voting system can satisfy all these conditions simultaneously. Market failure and non-attainment of Pareto optimality. Market failure, to have in the real world, Pareto optimality is not always achieved. When markets fail to allocate resources efficiently, it is called market failure. Monopoly or imperfect markets, externalities, it includes public goods, increasing returns to scale, and other key ideas. Perfect competition is referred for Pareto efficiency, but this condition really existence is reality. Now we see the monopoly and imperfect markets. Under perfect competition, marginal rate of substitution is equal to marginal rate of technical techniques, that is equal to price of the commodity. Under monopoly, output is less, price is higher. Pareto optimality is not achieved. Here we have to see 2 points E and B, perfect competition equilibrium, and one more is monopoly equilibrium. Monopoly produce less of goods X and more of good Y. Therefore, MRS is not equal to MRT. Resources are not efficiently allocated. We have to conclude monopoly leads to welfare, loss, and market failure. Externalities. Externalities occurs when production or consumption affects others. Here we have to see two types of externalities. External economics is positive, external diseconomics is negative. That is social marginal cost, it is greater than private marginal cost. Firms produce where PMC is equal to price, socially optimal output is where SMC is equal to price. Therefore, output under perfect competition is more than socially optimal, leads to overproduction, Pareto optimality is not achieved. Public goods and underproduction. Public goods, non-excludable, non-rival, examples defense, roads, street lights, etc. Demand curves of individuals are vertically explained. Market price does not reflect total social benefit, hence less quantity is produced. Then conclude free rider problem leads to underproduction of public goods and market failure. Then we have to see increasing returns to scale. It includes the market failure. Increasing returns to scale means long run average cost falls continuously as output increases due to economics of scale. LAC curve slopes downwards, LMC curve lies below LAC and intersect it from below. Under perfect competition must equal to, that is price is equal to long run marginal cost. At output Q1, P is less than LAC, so firms incur losses. Why market failure is occurs? Firms cannot survive with losses under perfect competition. Only one large firm can produce at lowest cost. Natural monopoly competition fails market failure. Within this explanation, we have to conclude increasing returns to scale violates perfect competition assumptions, leads to monopoly, inefficiency, and the need to government regulation. Invisibility, some goods and factors cannot be divided into small units. Examples, roads, bridges, power plants. Private firms avoid production due to high cost and low profit, leads to under provision of public goods. Common property rights, resources owned by everyone but controlled by no one. Examples, forest, river, oceans. Overuse leads to resources depletions. Social cost, sometimes the social cost is greater than private cost, inefficient allocations. Asymmetric incompleted information, buyers and sellers do not have equal information. Welfare economics, now we move on to the conclusion of this welfare economics. Welfare economics identifies how to maximize social well-being through national income and fair distribution. However, market failure like monopolies, externalities, and public goods frequently prevent the ideal state of Pareto optimality. First, we have to see two types of welfare economics. One is old welfare economics, another one is new welfare economics. In old welfare economics, we have to see Pigouvian analysis and his output maximization. And another welfare economics is Paretian welfare economics. This comes under new welfare economics because markets are often incomplete or inefficient. Government intervention and ethical value judgments are essential to reach the bliss point of maximum social satisfaction. So through this welfare economics, we have to improve the people's status and standard of living of the people. At the same time, we have to completely reduce the poverty and maintain equality among the peoples. Thank you.